Welcome back to another episode of That's Business. Today, we will be talking behind the curtain of events with yours truly. So, if you know us, you know me, you know we do events. And that's something we're talking about going into 2026 of doing various events. And what is encompassed in an event could be a speaking engagement, a workshop, an online webinar. When I talk about events, all that is encompassed in what I'm meaning by that. And the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because a lot of people are curious or they just want to kind of dip the toe into water of, I don't know, I might need help, I might not when it comes to my career, when it comes to starting my own business or anything like that. So events are a great way to get that started and see if it makes sense. Also, a great way to suss out who's in the room, of who could be a good partner for you, or even a new friend. I've made plenty of friends at events. So let's start by throwing it back. How the heck did I get into this? So if you knew me in high school, middle school, your girl was a little shy. Shy in regards to I didn't like to be center of attention. I would never want to speak in front of people. Nope. No. But I had a lot of friends. I've always had a lot of friends my whole life. I was the one that was in different friend groups. I mean, I invited, I think it was like my whole 6th or 7th grade class to a Halloween party I had. But that's what I did. So I like to be behind the scenes. I like to more orchestrate. Wasn't until I got to college when I went to Penn State and was a part of the largest student-run philanthropy in the world that I had to speak in front of 500 people every single Sunday. And that was terrifying. But I made the decision when I opted in to be elected to the board or run for a board position that, hey, you have to speak in front of people. And that's where I had this little inclination in high school that maybe I should start speaking. I don't know. I've always loved writing. I've always been someone that's able to get how I feel out in words. Now we just do that on social media and events too. But it was senior year where I decided to get more serious and I actually applied to be a speaker at graduation. I still vividly remember the room. I remember everyone that was in it. And it was nerve-wracking. And I remember getting in my own head about it, of what I thought they wanted to hear. So I made this speech. I presented it. I was nervous as hell. I didn't get it. And I didn't deserve to get it because I wasn't truly in my confidence or an understanding of what I really could be. So that was my first bit of it. Going into college, going into everything, I don't remember what the first one was, but I've been the token speaker at any family member's funeral for as long as I can remember, where I'm not the one like, I want to give a speech, but I get asked by family members of, you have a way with words. Why don't you talk through it? So I believe the first one was probably, I'm guessing high school, maybe in middle school when my uncle unfortunately passed away, that they were asked to give a few words. And I think what I had done is I had written how I felt out, because that was my outlet. And I think I read it to my aunt, and she's like, you need to say this. So in front of a room full of people, I said what I wrote, and it got a lot of good feedback. So progressing through, unfortunately going to even more funerals, I was the one that kind of captivated audiences. Then going into college, it was presenting in front of classmates. It was being confident in yourself. And then I realized I kind of have a thing for this. Like, this is fun. I love the energy of a crowd. I feel I need to get my message across to more people. And that's the best way to do it. Or being an audience member, I went to so many events or workshops where people talk at you but aren't inspiring you. So from that, I got a little more confident. I started my master's degree. And then I was like, I like doing this. This is fun. I don't know. And with my master's degree, you had to record yourself a lot. Part of your essays, you either had to read it or you had to present on a topic. And you had no choice because 2020 was pure pandemic and it was an online program anyways. you didn't get the immediate reaction from your classmates. You just had to wait for the comments to come through on Canvas and hope for the best and hope it was well received. But I remember I'd spend so much time like, oh, I don't like how I looked here. Oh, I looked to the left. Oh, I looked here. Oh, I said, I said it over my words. I can't do that. But it would be the same content. I would just fix stuff like that. And there came a point where I was spending so much time that I'm like, just do it. Just get it freaking done and stop with this already, Angela. So that's when I had the little bit of exposure where I was like, all right, let's just do it. Let's just put ourselves out there. And of course, as you know, on my LinkedIn journey, I started posting on social media, putting myself out there. And that's what I feel like led up to some of these events we do. So fast forward, we're in 2019. I was fired from my job. So continued on with the resume rescue. And I don't remember what our first event was. But I will say, we're like, if we can get in front of people, we really like doing this. We get that one-on-one interaction. You get to vibe off the body language, and let's just try an event and let's do it. And our first event was a lot of fun. I think it's one I did at Bamboo. But our events were really interesting because it was people that may be afraid to put themselves out there online. It was a culmination of people that maybe wanted another listening ear or set of eyes on their documents and what they were doing as kind of an audit. So that's when we're like, all right, let's do events. Let's start that. And from that was born speaking engagements. So we've done workshops on how to build a resume, how to build a LinkedIn profile, which we're doing one on this Thursday, the 11th, if you're listening to this, in December 8th, 2025. But if you come to this was great because a lot of people like to stop or for the event like we're doing on Thursday and come the new year, we're going to have a lot of our events recorded. I'm someone that I may have an idea, ADHD brain. I don't always keep up with the curriculum. That's why I love my master's degree because I could stop, pause, continue on. And that's what helps me learn. I'm a visual person. I have to read it. I have to see it. I then have to write it down in a notebook or a note taker and make sure I fully understand the concept. So that's where we got into workshops and doing that. And this has blossomed now that we're finishing up 2025 into one of my favorite things we do. I love speaking in front of a crowd. I would rather speak in front of a crowd. If you told me go talk to Mark Cuban in 5 minutes, I'd rather do that. I may be freaking out internally. I'd rather do that than take any test in the world. I'm an overthinker. I don't do well in that, but I love working in a room and I love giving presentations. It's one of my favorite things. And the difference with our advice and our events we go to is that we curate an experience that matches the crowd. I may give the same presentation on careers and figuring out what you want to do next. It may be the same topic. I'm changing it. Our range is from high schoolers to C-suite executives. I just got asked yesterday to do another presentation for high schoolers. I'm not going to give them the same verbiage that I give my C-suite executives. Because what were you when you were in high school? Did you want to hear career advice? I sure as hell didn't. So what makes a great speaker, what makes us different is that we vibe to the audience. I mean, we've given presentations for the Detroit Red Wings, for Pfizer, for some of our big corporate partners, but I've also done them to local high schools here. Cesar Chavez here in Detroit. I have another one that's not official yet, but will be mentioned in a later podcast. But that advice is not the same. You can't just rinse and repeat. And that's what I feel a lot of people do when they do workshops and events and speaking engagements is they just, okay, I'm going to talk about this topic and I'm going to rinse and repeat what I just said to the same audience. No, you can't do that. I mean, you can do it. It just doesn't resonate. Where when I gave a presentation to 800 interns here in June, I talked about my own traumas and own experiences in my late teens, early 20s in corporate world and what happened. I talked about them to be underpaid. I talked about how I graduated was like, is this it? Is this what life's like? Because this did not feel right as I was living at home. I don't give that same speech to my C-suite executives who've been in their positions and understand their worth and know what they're doing it's just not going to resonate. So that's where we really differentiate and take each topic we discuss and fine tune it per the audience. We love feedback. I love feedback to say, oh, this resonated, this didn't, this was stupid, this was great. Tell me. We love feedback. That's how we can get better. But what I pride myself on and with my employees is honesty. I'd rather be honest with you than get a sale. Maybe that's not the best business practice. I'm sure it's cost me money. But that's how you build people that understand you're not full of shit, that understand you know what you're talking about, and they could trust you and your product. There's been many times where people hit us up for free consultations. They're like, oh, I need X, Y, and Z. I was told my resume sucks. And I'm like, change the format and you're good. Like, it's not a bad resume. And then there's radio silence on the other end. They're like, that's so funny because so many people just told me how bad it is. And I love the digital age. I love that we have information at our fingertips, but I also hate it because that means there's that many more opinions and what's happening in the world. So you want to take this with a grain of salt. You don't need everyone's opinion. Please rely on the experts, rely on the people that just understand you and what you do, and take it for what it's worth. You need an unbiased opinion. So work with someone like that. And I also think too, we talk ourselves out of so many things. Or then we get overwhelmed, in my case, and then I just throw the towel in and like, yep, I'm done. I'm not doing it. I'm overwhelmed. I can't stand this. I'm out. And that's not helpful either. So as we go through this, remember, this is the best piece for you. You have to understand what events make sense. Get your questions answered, all that. Events are another good way to ask something in a group setting if you're nervous about one-on-one. It's also a way where you're like, hey, I just have a few questions. I need this. Great. And what makes sense? No two people are the same. I don't care if you've had the exact same career path or the exact same job, unless you've worked for the exact same companies and went to the exact same schools and are everything alike from growing up. No two people are the same. Ever. Even twins aren't the same. It doesn't, it's just not a rinse and repeat, and I can't say that enough. So if you're looking for more community and looking for more events, or just how you can build your professional skills, whether you're a small business owner, a professional, high schooler, C-suite executive, or somewhere in between, we got you. So if you go to the show notes, you can see our event. And if you want to follow and get updates on different events we have going on, we have another one coming January 14th that'll be virtual. Please, please, please reach out. And if you're unsure of something, we offer free consultations. If you're interested about having us come to speak to your team, whether in person or online, we do offer that. So we have a variety of services and we'd love to work together. And for those of you who's looking for a little more community, join us. We got you. And tune in again next week for another episode of That's Business.